Hey guys, Lytane here, and I started my Is It Worth It series a long time ago just so I could talk about all different topics, including some batshit crazy actors. And none of them are quite as crazy or unpredictable as Nicolas Cage. So in today's episode, I'm going to be having a look at one of his movies that is a bit more recent in years, Drive Angry. Drive Angry is a movie that came out in 2011 with Nicolas Cage starring as Milton, a man that, before the movie even started, was killed and sent to hell. As you can imagine, hell is not a very fun place, and part of the torture is that you have to watch your loved ones even when they make really stupid and bad choices, and you can't do anything to change it. Milton learns that his daughter is involved with a satanic cult and that his granddaughter is about to be sacrificed in the upcoming ritual. Milton can't have that, so he breaks out of hell, steals a magical gun that can hurt angels and destroy souls, and decides to rescue his granddaughter. Along the way, he teams up with a girl named Piper who has a nice car and helps Milton after he pretty much helps her. It isn't all smooth sailing though, because Satan has sent his very special agent, a force to be reckoned with, a badass played by William Fichtner, called the Accountant. Intimidating, right? Well, he is looking for Milton to take back to hell because he needs to keep the books right. And with many fights, guns, and bad guys, Milton struggles against all odds, and it just makes him drive angry. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty dumb movie. It's a B-grade film in the grindhouse genre, which is one of those genres that are just over the top in terms of macho-ness and blood and gore and just silliness. Usually they're all B-grade films. But if you like that kind of stuff, then yeah, this movie might be for you. What really makes this movie stand out to me, as opposed to many other grindhouse films, are the two main characters of Milton and the Accountant. They are just so good and they work so well together. So let's start with Milton. He's played by Nicolas Cage in this film, and I don't think Nicolas Cage was putting in a very good performance in this movie. He is one of those characters that is just kind of over it. He doesn't have very many big expressions. He's not over the top in his normal Nicolas Cage ways. He doesn't have a freak out. He doesn't really do much. He's kind of old and bored a lot of the time, but that in turn adds to his character, which is strange because he is put into many situations and many fights and other things like that which would normally garner a reaction for most people, but he's just so blasé about it. In one of the fight scenes of the movie, it has Milton in the middle of some coitus, and in the middle of this act the bad guys rush in and try and kill him, so he starts killing them whilst doing his normal duty. It's really awkward to talk about a camera. So he's just killing people left, right, and center whilst this lady is hanging off of him, and it is hilarious. But the best part is that his face just doesn't care. It's just like, this is a run-of-the-mill kind of thing. Yeah, I just broke out of hell last week. I'm doing a lady whilst fighting bad guys. It's just every other day. It is so funny, and it just adds so much to the scene because it just makes it so silly. There are other scenes that stand out as well, but this is definitely probably the more memorable one just because of the creativity behind it. Now, the Accountant is the strangest character in this movie. As I said, he was sent from hell to collect Milton, and he doesn't really care who gets in his way, which is kind of odd. He has this strange, otherworldly presence to him where he doesn't quite feel like a real person, like he's imitating them instead. This is shown with his mannerisms and the way that he adopts people's accent and lingo when he's talking to them. He too is calm and collected and can think fast on his feet, using other people to track down Milton. He isn't afraid to get his hands dirty either. It made me think, is he meant to be killing people? Like, isn't there some kind of order that's meant to be kept? I mean, the sole reason he's going after Milton in the first place is because his books don't add up, so killing people would also change the books, because wouldn't they be dying before their time? Or am I just thinking too much into that? Whatever. He has some great scenes, including my favorite one of the whole film, and a little humor as well, and is a joy to watch, especially when he and Milton are going toe-to-toe. He just steals the show. Then we come to Piper, and she starts to let the team down. She is supposed to be a strong, independent woman that is kinda badass, but just not quite as cool as Milton, but it doesn't come across that way. She feels weak and poorly written, and when she tries to be cool, she just kinda falls flat. Even her motivation in the movie is lacking. When Milton wants his granddaughter and the accountant wants Milton, Piper doesn't really have any particular wants. She leaves her crappy boyfriend and drives to restart her life and lends a hand and ride to Milton and just sort of gets involved with everything. Even the reasons why she gave him a lift felt weak and contrived, like Milton sabotaged her ride just so he could help her out later on and so she would give him a lift. It is no secret that he can drive anything he wants, even stealing cars isn't so outside his comfort zone as seen from the beginning, so why did he treat her differently? Honestly, if they had lost her or even developed her a little more, then she might have been interesting, but she is definitely the weakest part of the main cast. That is until you get to the villain, Jonah King, played by Billy Burke. Oh my god, is he such a boring, one-dimensional bad guy. His sole purpose in the movie is that he is starting a cult and he wants to sacrifice Milton's granddaughter to Satan for otherworldly powers or some crap, you know, just cult things, whatever. Because of that, they don't really develop him as a person or him as a character. His backstory isn't really explored, his motivations aren't really explored, he just wants to do this for Satan because he loves Satan. It does lead to some jokes, especially with the accountant, but it's just such a boring bad guy. His lines are also boring as well because he keeps spouting biblical terms and stuff like that because, you know, he's a religious freak that's really into Satan. And they're just so boring. He's just not interesting to watch or listen to. I would have much preferred if they had fought somebody that was way over the top, or even better, somebody that was more developed than he was. The other thing is that he is very non-threatening throughout the film. Like, he doesn't have much of a bad guy presence, especially when you find out that Milton can't die because he's already dead. There is no real risk. You get more of a reaction out of the accountant and him trying to track down Milton than you ever do this other guy who's supposed to be the main villain. A thing that can be a little bit hit and miss in these kinds of movies is the story. This one tries to be very, very simple with just like, it's pretty much a road movie with some action and gore thrown in. They added a couple of supernatural and strange elements to this film, and that's honestly where the film starts falling apart and you start to ask questions, like especially with the gun that Milton has, which is a god killer. How did he get it? Where did it come from? Why does Satan have a god killer gun? Why isn't he using it? All that kind of stuff. It's really strange, but you just sort of go with it from the dumb nature as you just go from one action set piece to another. But that is where the movie actually does start to shine. The action set pieces are so much fun to watch. The action scenes are gory and fun and original, and it goes out of its way to feel like a cult film, which maybe makes it go a little bit too far at times. You can tell that the director did what he did in the way of scenes and effects to try and be more cult, like some older action or horror movies, and while it is still really well done, it does feel forced. The reason why he would do something like this is to try and achieve the cult status of some other films and trying to be remembered for all of time, and it's a bit of a hit and miss here too. But I will reiterate, it is pretty well done most of the time. I can remember most of the major action scenes when it was years before I rewatched the film. Like, the final fight scene is great with action galore, and the end is pretty kick-ass as well. My absolute favorite scene in the movie is when Milton is driving to a police blockade and can't get through. The accountant is helping him out for the moment and drives an explosive truck from the other direction into the blockade. The way he does this is so fun and so suave. He just doesn't have a care in the world. I mean, look how cool he is when he leaves this car. It's scenes like this that really made me like this film and really made me like the accountant so much. Drive Angry is really a mixed bag when it comes to rating it, but I will say it's kinda worth it. And the reason why I say that is because if you like Grindhouse, if you like silly action films, then you will enjoy this. But if you want a film with more story and heart, this is not for you. As a person that really likes dumb action films, I can really get into this and I enjoy all the big set pieces. While the main reason why I do like it is Nicolas Cage and William Fichtner, I really don't like Amber Heard or Billy Burke as the other people in the movie. The story is very simple and easy to follow, and there's a few supernatural elements thrown in which do make it interesting and do include a few cool action set pieces with them. There's not any freak out moments with Nicolas Cage as well, so if you're going into this movie expecting one of those, like, "Ah, the bees!" then you'll be sorely disappointed. So I would say only check this movie out if you enjoy these kinds of movies. And guys, don't forget to cycle subscribe and leave any comments down below of what you thought about Drive Angry. It is a really, really silly film, and not a whole lot of people have seen it. So if you have, tell me what you thought down below. And yeah, bye! As you can imagine, hell is not a very fun place, and part of the torture. Even the reasons why she gave him a lift felt weak and contrived, like Milkum. Milton. Boring, one-dimensional bad guy. My voice is just starting to go. That's good.